Welcome everybody to the latest video. I'm Chef Frank Murphy at North Bend High School, and in this one we're going to talk about mise en place. You know, say what is mise en place? Well, that's getting things in place, starting to cook, and it's very important that we kind of set up in a nice way. Number one, make sure you got plenty of space. If you've got like coffee cups and you got a big bowl of fruit and you're kind of caught down in a small area of your kitchen, make some space for yourself. Kind of spread it out a little bit. I have 3 bowls in front of me here, and you're going to see what they do in a second here. And I have my cutting board, and my cutting board's on my damp towel so it doesn't move around. I got my knives. I've washed my hands beforehand, and my knives, and everything is nice and clean. So these bowls are going to be put down just like that. And then I want to put the product that I'm going to start with in the first bowl. The second bowl is going to be for my trim. And the third bowl will be for my finished product. I'm right-handed, so I work from left to right. And if I'm left-handed, I'm going to go from right to left. So I've got a carrot here. I'm going to peel it. I use my bowl, and I peel right into the bowl. But there's my mess. It's not on my counter or on my board. It's not on, and it's not in the bottom of the sink, and it's not in the garbage. This can go into it, because sometimes I see people who'll peel over the garbage can, and then what happens when you drop your carrot? You're going to reach in and get it. So you always use a bowl. It's peeled, goes into the last bowl, and then I can go down and take another carrot and peel all my carrots. Next thing, I'm going to move these out of the way here so the camera can see. I've got my carrot. How am I going to use the knives? Now, chopping knives have to be, by the way, sharp. If they are not sharp, you're going to have to force it through, and that's kind of a little bit dangerous. So a nice, sharp knife is very, very important. I've got the carrot, and you see when on the TV, chefs all the time using their knives. And sometimes you'll see and you'll hear the making plenty of noise. In fact, a real chef, a good chef, is not going to make any noise with his knife. The knife is going to do the cutting, and if I'm banging on my cutting board, it means I'm damaging my knife. And chefs are supposed to look after their own knives. So I want to use this properly. One little trick I do for my kids when they're in here, I'll show them me cutting, and I'll close my eyes and I'll cut away. And I don't cut my fingers, hopefully. I'm kind of going to do that just a little bit here, and then I'll explain how I'm able to do that. So I'll take my fingers, I'm going to start cutting down here, and I can close my eyes and I can do the whole thing there. As I say to the kids, you can watch TV, whatever you want to do, but you're not going to cut yourself because you know exactly where that blade is and you're in control. Don't do this at home, by the way. I'm cleaning up as I go. So how do I do that? Well, first off, I'm going to take my fingers. I'm going to put them just like that. Put them on the counter. My thumb, make sure that it is tucked in. If you look at my thumb, it's kind of a little bit flat on one side, and that's because a couple of times I didn't tuck it in, and I kind of nicked it a few times. So after a few years, you kind of learn that. But you make sure that this thumb is in. The knife is going to slide on your fingers. It's right up against it. You're holding the knife just like this. Not like that. Not with a death grip. Just like a nice grip. You're in control. So, hands down like this, fingers bent. You can see it there. Thumb in. Knife up against. And this is, remember I was telling you about the big pieces of Lego? This is a big piece of Lego, okay? You practice this until you get that motion. The other thing is, if I push it this way, maybe you can see better. the knife is not going straight up and down. It's actually going a bit like an old train, an old steam engine with the wheels on it. And you do that nice and slowly. You would be surprised how quick you can get in cutting if you do this. But main thing is start off slow and get that action down. Just practice. Again, no noise. Just nice. Should be quiet. When you get to that stage and you're ready, take a little bit of vegetable. Carrots are great for this because you can cut them up small and you can cut up a lot of them. Then maybe turn them into a soup or something. So, fingers. Now, at this stage, I'll tell you, there are a few different ways of doing things. Some chefs like to push the vegetable into the knife with their thumb, just like that. And other people like to move the knife down. You know, it's what you're comfortable with. The main thing is that your fingers here do not leave the side of the knife, and the knife does not get lifted up above your fingers. So, got my piece of carrot, got my knife, got my fingers up against the blade. Hopefully you guys can see that there. And then I just slice down. And I want these slices all to be the same thickness. And you might say to yourself, well, that doesn't really matter. But if I'm going to cook these, if I'm going to blanch these, if they are not the same thickness, I'm going to have some carrots that are overcooked and some that are undercooked. So whatever it is that you're cutting, that needs to be the same thickness. Another little tip is on the blade where you're using it, you're probably going to use this part, at the back part of the knife when you're doing your cutting. Because if I start using it up on this end, I have to lift that knife higher and higher to clear the piece of carrot. That's a lot more work. You know, I had an old chef many, many years ago say something to me. He said, if I want to find the best way or the quickest way of doing something in the kitchen, to ask the laziest chef, and he will always find the quickest way. Something that I'll never forget him telling me. So, I'm practicing here. I want to get nice slices, all the same thickness. My fingers never leave the side of the blade. My thumb is always tucked in. And this is just something you've got to practice it. But once you get it practiced, you can get very, very fast. And I don't know if I have a little piece of celery here. Now I'm a lot older and a little bit out of shape, but I can probably still chop pretty quick. And they are all nice and thin. So that's the end of the video for this particular one. As we go through the videos, I will be kind of spend a little bit more time with the knives and stuff, but just try to do that. And main thing is tuck your fingers in, make sure that thumb is back, practice with your knife, let that slide. Remember that action like a steam engine. Go slow. Just take your time. And pretty quick, you'll be cooking as good as any chef, or cutting as good as any chef. It just takes practice, okay? Make sure the knife is sharp too. And thank you very much for watching in, and look forward to the next one. It's Chef Frank. Thank you. Bye-bye.